a lot of work, but the flip side, it would be geared towards people who would be willing to pay for it.
Are you wearing it because you like it, or are you wearing it because you're told?
Even growing up, we had the little boob tube TVs that had a built-in VHS player.
It was something I don't want to say passionate about, because I like helping people.
I want to go to certain brands that I've already been convinced. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Visions and Ventures podcast. We are talking today with Daniel Hardesty of Eureka, which is a vintage store in downtown New Albany, focusing on men's clothing. He's been a long-time client since going back to 2022, and I hope you guys really enjoy our conversation. Thanks. All right, well, start out with where you come from. What's your some of your life story? Yeah, you New Albany boy?
No, I grew up in Owensboro.
Okay.
Owensboro, Kentucky, which is about 2 hours away west. Like if you just follow the Ohio River, you'll run right into it. I was born early 70s, and a small city that was pretty isolated in a lot of ways. And honestly, isolated socially in a lot more ways.
Yeah.
When I went away to school, I went to Murray State.
Everything was a small town back then.
Well, it felt like it, but you know, when you're going to Evansville for the big city stuff, that kind of, but it was just weird, Aaron, because we didn't have any diversity, and I don't, just culturally and so forth. And it wasn't until I went away to school, and it wasn't like I went to some, major college, right? Yeah, I went to Murray, Kentucky, but you're with people who grew up in Chicago, Nashville, St. Louis, all this, and they're all, and you're like, well, this is different. And that was kind of where, in all truthfulness, that's kind of where I changed who I was.
Yeah,
because it became this like,
there's a world out there.
Well, it was confidence. I didn't really have a lot of confidence in myself, other than, through like sports growing up, because I was always, I just was sheltered in a way. And, there it was like, okay, this is a different world. And I just really enjoyed it, and frankly, I enjoyed it so much that I stayed 2 extra years.
Yeah.
I changed my major. Oh, super duper senior. But I was like, in 92, I changed my major and was like, okay, well, I'm going to have about 4 more years of this.
What were you studying? What did you switch to?
I was going to do audio video production.
Okay.
And I did it for 2 years, and I was like, I don't like this. At the same time, the 92 election was going on, and I found myself getting really absorbed into just the political realm. But not as much of like, it was the sociology and the psychology and the like theory behind it all.
Hot button moral issue.
Right.
It was like the sort of the game theory of it all.
Yeah. And I was like, man, it'd be really cool if you could study this. And somebody's like, you could be a political science major. And I went, okay. So I found, talked to the folks in the poli-sci department, and they're like, yeah, you'd have to change these core classes and do this, and it'll set you back. And I was like, it's fine. It really wasn't crazy.
Yeah. College
so
was
like,
more affordable back then too.
Oh my gosh. I paid for cash my tuition for my summer job.
Nice.
Yeah. And, but yeah, that's a wholly different world, walking up and paying your bursar. Here, here's $1,800. That will give me my semester. But, I was just always intrigued with what made things, like what made people like something or someone or dislike something or someone. And politics was a great way to do it. And I studied all that, graduated as a poli-sci major, wanted to teach history and civics and so forth, and coach soccer.
Was it an area of history you're most intrigued in?
Not really. I mean, I really love the development of America and how things came about, simply because it's accessible information, right? It wasn't like you had to go
deep lore that
like
people
2,000 years
20
ago.
different theories on.
It was things were written and recorded, but I was big into soccer, and I got to coach high school soccer my last year in college, and it was cool because, hey, wow, I'm doing something that I want to do after I graduate. But it was also one of those things where I was like, man, it opened my eyes a little bit. I don't want to be around high school kids all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. So I didn't become a teacher. I took what I learned and just kind of adapted it to life. And I got into sales. And I was like, wow, sales and politics are really similar. You're just kind of steering someone on decisions. And I did that for, off and on from 99 to 2020, and then along the way, I had some little side
07
things.
In 99.
Say again?
07 in 99.
Yeah. I won't tell you how old I was. It was 27. Right. Yeah. But it was, it was something I don't want to say passionate about, because I like helping people, but I like helping them make decisions. Right. And which kind of leads me into what we're doing now. It was, I got into clothes, selling clothes, not just because, well, it's a way to make a buck. It was like clothes and how you look changes your confidence, right? It changes how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your day, whatnot. And I was like, okay. I started putting outfits together for people, and, you should sell. I was, whatever, okay. And I did, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like you can make money curating certain looks. Yeah. And somebody was like, well, that's kind of what stores are. And I went, well, I guess that's the case, but I was never that kind of shopper. I would go in and look at everything and pick out what I liked. Right. Not, oh, this is the section I need to shop in. So I just didn't look at it that way. And then
that is kind of, that's kind of how I kind of shop in the curated way. Like I want to go to certain brands that I've already been convinced that's within the realm that I want to, how I would like to dress or be presented. And then within that level of curation, then I'm like, well, I don't really like that type of, I don't like vests. A nice vest would be different, but not even a sweater vest, but the puffy jacket type vest.
Oh, yeah, okay, an outerwear vest.
Yeah, an outerwear vest. Almost any variation of them, I'm just kind of, So even if it's a brand I really like, I'm like,
why?
I don't know.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I can see you.
No, there's totally a narrative, because narratives definitely, I feel like if there's any overlap with narratives, you tell yourself clothing's going to be really close to there. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's an association with the people I see wear them. Then I don't feel like I'm the same type of association.
Yeah. I can see that, man.
Maybe someone who's a little bit, maybe a little bit more bro dude. I wouldn't say I'm not a bro dude.
You're not. You're not.
But yeah, it's a little bit different than my social perspective of myself.
I'm going to say this, and because I know what you're saying, or at least I think I know.
Yeah, it's kind of a amount. Yeah.
The type of vest is what really sets bro dude off from just, man, I want this because it's functional and it looks kind of good and so forth. One thing I've not liked, and that's kind of what got me into doing what we're doing now, is I've never liked just the conventional, well, this is what everybody's wearing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do you want to look like everybody else, man? Like, you go look at like a traveling sports team, right? Like a youth. I bet if you walked the sidelines, you would see everybody wearing, within a certain parameter, the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And are you wearing it because you like it, or are you wearing it because you're told you should like it?
Totally.
And that mindset just drives me bonkers, because that's what creates the cyclical, oh, well, nobody's wearing those anymore.
Yeah.
Well, why? I like them. Well, sorry. Now you got to wear this. Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
That's what's in.
Right. And then people would, you know, do you have any wide leg, light wash new jeans? Not ones that you're going to want. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that whole whatever. And that's what I like about, you know, not even just when you say vintage, a lot of people in my generation think 70s clothing, right? Now, when you hear it, what do you think?
I think 80s, but I don't necessarily think, I mean, that is the decade before I was born, but I think 80s, because that's just like what every TV show and movie wants to be set in.
Yeah, it is. You know, 90s now.
90s starting to do its thing.
And what, you know, is now referred to as Y2K clothing is vintage.
Y2K.
And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I get it. It's relative.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this stuff was ugly when we wore it back then.
Yeah, a lot of it was.
Oh my gosh, hideous. And
depends on the exact thing, but yeah.
Yeah. But it will run its course. And once, and this is the theory that I have.
Yeah.
Okay. So for anybody out there that's looking at like, oh, how do I make sure I don't hit on the back end of a trend? Once parents start wearing it,
it's not cool.
kids are done.
I've noticed that I'm now like starting to be on the tail end of things, and I'm like, it's not cool that I think this is cool.
Yeah. And your kids won't like it, because they're like, oh, because I always wondered that. I was like, you know, when we were growing up, but it's weird because they're emulating what their parents wore at that age.
Yeah.
But if your parents wear it now, it's, like in high school, there were all these kids wearing like Grateful Dead, The Doors, Pink Floyd, you know, bands that were big in the 60s and 70s. And, you know, this was the 80s high school. And I've always thought to myself, like, well, I wanted to wear like the REM and U2 and, you know, that kind of stuff, which would, I guess, would be the equivalent of somebody now doing Taylor Swift or something, right? And they get made fun of. But long story short, it's like you look for something that, if it's becoming mainstream, I think is the best way to put it. If it becomes mainstream, don't invest in it as far as like business-wise.
Yeah.
At least as far as clothing, because it'll be gone real fast, and then you're sitting on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What, well, sorry, on theories, I feel like eventually, before I'm dead, I feel like maybe including the 60s and 70s, but definitely like basically the 80s to the very tail end of the 2000s. I feel like eventually, once there's a little bit more distance, I feel like that will basically be seen as its own era. Like, I know it had its all, obviously 1,000 different little micro fast fashion things, but I feel like it's basically like the post World War II world and pre mass communications via the internet world. I feel like that's basically just going to end up being its own
I could see that
bubble in time that people will refer back to as like,
well, because it, you know, it was done in an era where certain cost cutting initiatives weren't taken. People didn't look at it and go, well, gosh, if we did, you know, 10-ounce denim, instead of 12-ounce denim.
Yeah.
And we could save a lot.
And cheaper. And,
right.
Yeah.
Well, sir, what if we put spandex in the denim? Well, tell me more, right? Like, well, here's the thing. You can stretch and do this, but once it stretches too much, it's ruined. They'll have to buy more. Oh, I like this. But yeah, it's like, go find an older pair of Levi's from the 70s.
Heavy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's why they're still around.
That's why I like this brand.
Yeah. Was this a Barber?
This Marine Layer.
Marine Layer.
When
Okay.
I put this jacket on,
Yeah.
I was like, it's got weight to it. Like
Yeah.
it's serious.
Yeah. But it matters.
Yeah.
Right? It's like when you find even higher end brands. When I say higher end, I mean like higher end Americanized brands like, Ralph Lauren or similar. Because in the grand scheme of life, those are not they're mid-level when
They're
you talk
like,
about, the designer stuff.
Yeah,
But,
on that note real fast, like Johnson & Murphy is like probably maybe was something, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like was maybe at one point closer to a Ralph Lauren. And I feel like in the cost cutting initiatives and maybe also just trying to be more mainstream. I mean, I just feel like everything that they put out is just like, this is Johnson & Murphy, but it's all interwoven with cheaper fabric, all that kind of stuff. And their shoes are all just trying to be some variation of a tennis shoe now. Yeah. None of them are trying to be like a nice dress shoe and such.
Well, I don't know exactly about Johnson & Murphy, but I know that mid-tier brand, Cole Haan, Johnson & Murphy, Clark's, etc.
Yeah.
They were all purchased by bigger entities.
Yeah.
And then once that kind of got into place, it was like, well, the name is what we wanted.
Yeah.
Right? Like, look at Florsheim. Florsheim shoes used to be...
Florsheim?
Oh, my gosh, yes. Like premier stuff because they were handmade. It was the nice leather and the stitched leather bottoms, the leather soles, insoles, etc. And if you can find a vintage pair of Florsheims, you'll look at them and go, these things look great, right? You found one from 10 years ago that somebody wore for a year, you'd go, wow, these must be the vintage ones, right? But it's because it's cheaper material, it's thinner leather, rubber soles that can't be redone, so it becomes a disposable item instead of one that can be resold.
It's like a big heavy metal truck versus the thin aluminum and all that.
Well, or heck, look at it,
plastic.
appliances.
Yeah.
This now we're starting to get into old man.
The in-shitification of everything.
But it's like,
Yeah.
when we were, I mean, you had TV repair people who would come out, oh yeah, here, let's replace this tube and do this or whatever. And now, you're spending.
Now it's like, there'll be a sale next week on this giant TV.
You just throw it away.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it? I don't know. Just throw it away. We'll get a new one. Would you ever, growing up, think a TV would be just a disposable item?
I mean, even growing up, we had the little boob tube TVs that had a built-in VHS player.
Yeah, dude.
And I had multiple because, I don't know, at some point my older sister didn't even want hers. So I had like my Sega hooked up to one, my Nintendo 64 hooked up to one.
I remember this because I used to work for a company. We sold, we were in charge of Walmart's video and music accounts. So we sold them their DVDs, CDs, books, etc. And I remember when the 16:9 ratio TVs came out. They weren't even all high def. It was just a 16:9 and, $1,600 for like a 32-inch. But when the first flat screen came out, there's like this Sanyo, standard definition, whatever, almost $3,000. Wow. And I remember thinking to myself, my gosh, one day I'm going to own one of these things.
Yeah. And more.
Oh, right now I've got like 6 of them in the house, right? Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
And the definition's insane.
But I moved into my first, I bought a condo in 2005. And I said, first thing I'm going to do, I'm sparing very little expense in a television. and I bought this Sony, and it was like it was called rear projection, but it was like a hybrid version. It was a HD, so it was probably 20 inches front to back.
Wow.
Beautiful, this console kind of thing. I get it up, and I set it up, and I'm like, this is incredible. I spent like $3,000 on this TV.
Yeah.
Which was more than the furniture in the room and everything else. And I'm just like, So we fast forward a few years later, I get married, move in with my wife. She had a house already. And I sold the condo, and, we've got the TV, and it's like, be careful. And, and then later you have to replace this TV, and you're like, oh, it was $400. I can get something to replace it for like $400.
Yeah.
And you're just like, why did I ever spend that much on a TV? But
at the time,
man, right.
I mean, even now, the highest end TVs, I mean, what are you really paying for? Do they even have a $3,000 TV at this point? Because
it's because of size.
Yeah, it's purely size, and maybe it's 12K at this point, but like, what's the difference between 12K and 8K and 4K?
This is I remember when 4K came out, they were advertising this on like the Best Buy wall of eyes, whatever you want to call the big TV display. And it was during, I want to say 2018 World Cup.
Yeah.
And they're showing this. I'm like, wow, you can see the grass and all this. And somebody was like, yeah, but they're not broadcasting in 4K. It's not available. Like their broadcast equipment won't support this. You'd have to have like a direct feed. Oh. So the camera can be in 4K and the TV in 4K, but the signal won't support it. And you're like, that's great marketing. Like, man, I want that TV. And then you get it home, you're like, hold on, that's not the same.
It's not as good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so on curating clothing, have you considered, I mean, this is obviously a lot of work, but the flip side, it would be geared towards people who would be willing to pay for it. Have you considered doing curated boxes?
We considered it, but it's difficult in a sense because I can pick out something for you, right? And when you're looking at that, you would come to me and say, "Hey, Dan, this is what I want. I want a semi work look, but I want dress slacks or semi formal slacks with a dress shoe, but I want the top to kind of look this." You can put together stuff like that, obviously, but it does have some difficulty because you're dealing with nuance. And when we would do something like that, like I would put you in a vest. I'd be like, Aaron, this would look great on you. And you would get that and be like, no, I want that vest. But it went against a little bit of what our store, because our store is, kind of philosophy is look like you. Don't look like what somebody else tells you you want to look like. Well, if I'm shipping you curated boxes, I'm kind of telling you what I want you to look like.
Yeah.
And not letting you pick. Now, you could pick from a variety of things and go, okay, I want that, or I want this look. That I could do. But logistically, I think it's a little difficult when you're dealing with items that aren't replicable.
Yeah.
How do you?
Yeah, because a lot
replicatable
of your stuff is what would be the best term, thrift or
a lot of it. No, we don't use that term. I don't.
Sorry.
I hate it because thrift to me.
I didn't think it was the right term.
I shouldn't say that. I don't hate the term. I don't understand a lot of, like, you see a lot of these new vintage stores popping up and they've got thrift in their name, but we're selling at a premium.
Right.
We're selling at market rate.
Nice stuff.
It's, we were selling this the shirt this weekend. We did a festival in Lexington, and this woman's like, "How much is that?" And I said, "It's $200, old Pearl Jam shirt." And she's like, "Wow." I said, "I know.
It's part collectible, though."
I said, "I know, I get it." I said, "I would never pay that much for a shirt." I said, "But there are people who will pay $300 for it. We are going a little bit below." So I don't look at that as thrift. And I look at it as, it's just curated vintage.
Yeah. Vintage. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but go back to your question. I know you.
Well, I had the box question, but I had to think of another one.
Well, going back to that box question is, then you start looking at fits. Oh, I don't want something that's going to ride up in my arms, or I got to have more shoulder room. And when you're dealing with vintage pieces, they're all going to fit a little bit differently. So it's hard to piece that thing together without,
That makes sense. And people are so used now to shopping online or virtually in some capacity that they're also very, very used to sending things back now. So that would probably be a nightmare. That would be a headache to be like, they didn't like this one, they sent it back. Right. They didn't like this one, they sent it back.
Right. And then it's like, in the store, I don't really do returns. Like for pre-owned items, I'll do store credit. Hey, you want to bring it back? Didn't work for you? That's fine. But your money stays here, but simply because I don't want to be in the business of renting clothes. And that's what a lot of that had turned into, where, somebody, oh, that's a sick shirt and blah, blah, and they'll wear it and take Instagram photos. And then, I didn't like the way it looked. Really? Okay.
People, there are a surprising number of people who are perfectly comfortable doing that.
Well, yeah, because it's this disposable mentality of, and I'll backtrack a second on this, because I think you and I have had this conversation multiple times. It's like people think, oh, you own a store, you're loaded.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We own a store, but it's small business is small business.
Yeah.
And margins are thinner and all that stuff, but I've always tried to be accommodating, with people when this didn't fit the right way, especially if they're buying for somebody else. Yeah, man, no worries. We'll find something that will work. But we don't.
But we'll find something here.
Right. And that's it. It's like, now if it's one of the new items that we sell, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we got you. So anyhow.
How'd you make so then you got into selling, how'd you make the jump to, or what was the logic? What was the reason for making the jump to doing full retail?
I got, honestly, it was kind of a move of necessity. Back during the market crash and the housing market.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I got fired. Right. Hey, man, I worked for a company that we dealt with rental houses, and they consolidated offices. They shut ours down here in Louisville, and they were basically like, hey, you can move to Atlanta or take this severance. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to live in Atlanta. So I'll take the severance. And I was looking for something else that I wanted to do. And my sister, who also had gotten let go during that term, was like, oh, hey, buddy, you got to go look at flipping clothes. And I went, I'm good. It was basically what I said. I'm good. And she's like, I think you'd be surprised. And I went, people are buying used clothing? She's like, yeah. And I went, but only like the really hard to find vintage stuff. She's like, no, you got to come with me. So we went to a thrift store. And this is where it's like, God has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Because I found some great stuff. And I thought, oh, this can happen all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I took like $300, and like within a week, we made like $1,000 off of it. And I was like, holy smokes, this is super easy. I'm going to do this every week and just buy more.
Right.
If I buy 600, I'll make, 2,000.
But it wasn't that easy.
Right. Because then I learned, oh, okay, this is not something that's replicated. You can't predict what's going to be in these stores and so forth. So it became, but then it kind of set off another part of me where I'm like, dude, this is like hunting, treasure hunting.
Yeah.
In a way.
There's a game to it.
Yes.
You're trying to solve the.
And then you learned, how do I change what I'm selling, because I want to go after things that are higher margin and harder to find, and then it becomes like, oh wow, look what I found. And honestly, it was a bit of a rush.
Yeah.
But I did that until I found another gig, and I got hired on by another tech company, and we were doing things. It was called I won't say the name of the company, but it was just, we helped renters and rental companies kind of match make, right? It was kind of a non-traditional way, rather than just here's the listing and here's this. It was, hey, tell us about what you're looking for and let us curate a listed, a group of apartment communities that best fit this. And but when I would travel for work, I would still, when I was done, I was like, oh, I'm going to go look around here. So I kept all that going in the background. And then that company got bought out. And it was, well, hey, thanks, kind of thing. So I was like, all right, while I'm waiting to find out what I'm going to do next, I just rented out a warehouse kind of thing, a small office. Honestly, it was an office that nobody used in downtown New Albany that I just segmented up, and I ran it for 3 years, just selling on eBay only. And I really enjoyed it. But again, this is another kind of God moment in that eBay used to have a different search engine mechanism behind it, where it was short keywords. Okay. And you could, like, if I wanted to sell this jacket, I would say, oh, marine layer, hunting jacket with brass fittings, so forth. That way, if anybody was searching for hunting, brass, marine layer, all these different terms, it would pop up. Yeah. And then, eBay took a shift in their, in the way they did business, because they were heavily competing now with Amazon. Before, Amazon, had that hockey stick growth. And they wanted to go to a more predictable offering, whereas eBay was, made their name on, you'll never know what you'll find on eBay.
Right. It was an auction house.
Absolutely.
It was an online auction house.
And they started partnering with big box stores and so forth, to where, to get higher in the search results, your quantity, what your sell-through rates were, all of these things put you up higher in search results. So it kind of starved out small business in a lot of ways that wasn't selling, oh, I bought 1,000 of these from Temu and now I'm putting them on eBay. Right.
But at this point, hasn't eBay had to go back to the more one-off item type of things? Because unless I'm just dumb because I'm used to thinking of the eBay I grew up with, I thought eBay still kind of was at this point.
They do and they don't.
They do.
Yeah, it's
stuck in between.
One of the things I love and hate about eBay is they did a really crappy job of policing counterfeits. Unless someone reported it, right? It was all based, it's all self-report. And I understand that. Logistically, they can't have somebody looking at every ad. No. But they also didn't shy away from collecting the fees. Yeah. And eBay became littered with counterfeit items. And that's one of the reasons they changed as well, to go to, hey, we're stricter on this and stricter on this. And then when Amazon kind of had their whole, the buyer's never wrong, ship it back regardless, right? We'll take every return. eBay kind of followed suit with that, where you would have somebody who would get something, and we kind of talked about the rental thing. Yeah. I was selling some really nice items, right? Like, $300-$400 vintage coats and so forth. And we noticed there for a brief period of time, we were getting people who, 3 weeks later, it just didn't fit. Well, eBay would automatically accept the return, deduct from your account, have the buyer ship it back to you. And was like, this is not cool, right? This money we've already reinvested and spent and so forth. But it became one of those things where I was like, okay.
Did you ever run into an issue where they did that and didn't send it back?
No.
All right, that's good.
No, because then they wouldn't get their refund. eBay would kind of act as like a holding house.
Okay.
So, hey, we're going to hold on to this money, and then we'll give it to you when this gets delivered.
Okay.
But then, you combine that with the search engine changing.
Mm-hmm.
We were selling pretty decent amounts, I'll say. I mean, 5 digits, monthly. Wow. And then once all those changes took place in effect in, I believe it was January of 2015, sales just for the little guy. And, you'd see Bloomingdale's and Macy's and, REI and all these people selling direct to eBay. So about that same time, this is why I talk about God moments. And I had a former coworker reach out to me, and she was like, hey, I just got on board with this local tech company. Mm-hmm. They're looking for salespeople. Are you interested? And I was like, it's funny you ask.
So, yeah.
Right. Just so happened to be kind of back in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got on board with there, and, it was a good local company that got bought out by a bigger company. And I thought, oh gosh, we're going to go down this road again. But the other company was really great, and they took care of us.
Nice.
Brought us all on, and I really enjoyed working for them, but it was out of Dallas. And sometimes the communication back and forth. But
and what kind of software was this one?
This was property management software and accounting software for the apartment communities. Yeah.
Was it Rent Manager?
No, it was a company called.
I was just curious.
No, it's okay. It was a company called RealPage.
RealPage.
Yeah,
right.
And they were great, man. They really were. I do kind of regret leaving there because I got lured away by a startup who threw, kind of a big check at me and was like, "Hey, we want you to work for us." And I went, "Well, good. I want to work for you."
Yeah.
And then found out that they were terrible, terrible people in so many ways of leadership and all that. And COVID hit, and it was a blessing in disguise because they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to let you go." And I went,
"See ya."
Yep. I remember they're like, "Are you? We're really sorry." I said, "No, you're completely fine. This is great." Well, I know it can be hard to do this. I said, "No. Just let me know when the checks are coming for the severance and so forth." And looked for something else to do that whole year. And weird because I stopped doing clothing during that time because I was so happy at RealPage. I was like, doing it on the side. And which was one of the biggest moments for clothing was right during COVID.
Yeah. Well, online,
oh my gosh.
Everything online.
If I'd have had that opportunity, man, you and I wouldn't
Especially
be talking.
the collectible ones. Because
right.
everything, all collectibles, everyone was so bored. And
yes.
They were like, let's just buy expensive collectibles.
Sitting at home and doing this. But it just became this like, all right, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So I did odd jobs the whole summer. Built a deck for a woman. Me and my son would mow grass. It was just trying to figure out what I wanted.
Yeah.
Sadly, that summer we lost my mom, and that shifted everything for me.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It was like, okay, do I really want to go back into this replaceable corporate philosophy of you're a hired gun?
Mm-hmm.
And my wife, to her credit, was like, "You always wanted a store." And I went, "Let's look into it."
Yeah.
So we did, and we talked, and we planned, and we started it up in March of 22. And we went through 1, 2, 3, 4. We're in our 4th iteration of it.
Yeah.
And I think the thing I love most about it, Aaron, And I said this going in. I set my expectation. I said, if this makes me money, that's awesome. If this I will do this as long as we make money and we're profitable and I can support my family. I said, but I'm going to meet people that I would never have met doing sales that are going to change my life. And I remember one day during the opening thing, I'm walking around Ben Franklin. I don't know if you remember Ben Franklin stores.
I remember.
Yeah. And I'm talking to the guy and I'm like, yeah, I was just opened this small business. And I need these pictures. And this brazen young man with his wife and child comes up and says, I couldn't help but overhear that you have a small business. Well, I'm an accountant. I have a bookkeeping business. And I said, bookkeeping? I guess I need that. I'm thinking to myself, right? And, I would think I have developed a wonderful rapport and relationship with you. Absolutely. And you were that guy. But I thought it's interesting how all these things intertwine. And then 2 months into our store, this guy walks in with some stuff and he's like looking around. He's like, man, you need to be downtown. And I went, I guess. And he's like, I own some property downtown. You should be downtown. And I went, okay. Well, this is same guy that I'm a tenant of, and then partnering up with on another venture that is going to change New Albany's vibe, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's just little bitty things like that kind of
they accumulate
that matter. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't even the number of people I've interacted with, heck, I don't even think we're going to homeschool after next year, and they're going to go to a school that is a client, and they're not just going there because they're a client. If I were to send my kids anywhere purely for education reasons, I think I'd probably send them to Highlands Latin.
Okay.
But Holy Angels Academy over on Old Henry, the kids go to mass daily, not once a week, not twice. I went twice a week growing up at Holy Family in New Albany, but every day I'm just like, man. I already know that. I know the expectations, behavioral education, et cetera, and I know a lot of the people there. So I know that that's already a high caliber. And so then I'm like, and they're going to take the faith more seriously than other places. So
I love it.
And that's, but also like how aware would I be of Holy Angels if I had never gotten connected to do their accounting? So.
And that kind of makes me think of, the scripture we were reading today with the kids before they leave for school. And it was just talking about, understand that God is in control of the world, not in control of every action that you take. Right. And in the actions, like otherwise life is meaningless. It's about, this is the rules that I have set and this is what I have put in, I created. Yeah. But you think all these things that get put in place for us to quote stumble upon. Yeah. That, wow, isn't that crazy? I met that guy who is the perfect complement to what I needed today. It ain't crazy, brother. Yeah. It's stuff like that. And to hear you talk about, with the kids and I know it's a very big part of your life. But I think what I'm really trying to say is it's nice to be able to work with someone who has a similar mindset on things rather than, someone who would be like, you keep talking about that stuff and whatever, okay, Kuko, kind of thing.
No,
so
it is nice. That's for sure. Hey, thanks for listening to another episode of our podcast. It's brought to you by Bonaventure Bookkeeping and Pax at Bonum Tax. We can be your one-stop shop for all things small business and nonprofit accounting. So reach out to us at bonabook, BONABOOK.xyz. That's our website. Thanks. Bye.